You just learned about the three basic types of shots: wide, medium, and tight. Now we're going to talk about how you use them in your video. Let's remember, video is about telling stories. It's not about just getting shots, it's about getting shots that are connected. And when you show them in order, they tell a story that makes sense. When you edit together a series of connected shots, this is called a sequence, and it's the subject of Chapter 3. You actually just got done watching two sequences. The first was the guy at the pinball machine. The second was some other guy sitting in a park. Let's look at how these sequences were edited. But wait, I thought this volume was about shooting, not editing. You're right, it is about shooting, but shooting sequences means that you need to think like an editor when you shoot. So, to think like an editor, let's do some editing. For this example, I'm using Final Cut Pro, and we've got some footage of Tyler here in the middle window. Let's zoom in on that. He's sitting at a bench, alone. None of his friends want to play baseball with him. The videographer who shot this was nice enough to get 3 shots of this repeated action. There's our wide shot, our medium shot, and our tight shot. So, in my editing software, I can edit these 3 shots together in a sequence like this. Watch how each shot flows into the next. We don't need crossfades or any effects. The shot does not pan or move. It's just a simple sequence. The wide shot lets us know that Tyler is in a park alone. The medium gives us a closer look at what's happening, and the tight shot gives us some really nice detail. One more time, let's watch this sequence. There's nothing fancy about this sequence, but it's still really effective. Sequences are at the heart of moving images. Whether you're watching television or a movie or the local news, sequences are everywhere, and you need to understand them to tell a story with a video camera. Here's why sequences work. Let's say you walk into a room. First, you get a feel for the room as a whole. That's your wide shot. Then you might focus your attention on one area, kind of like a medium shot. And finally, you might focus on one thing in particular, like a tight shot does. Wide, medium, and tight is sort of how we naturally focus our attention. As a director or videographer, you get to choose how people are going to focus their attention by deciding what's on the screen. Okay, let's go back to the footage of the guy playing pinball. You can see here in the middle window that our videographer got plenty of wide, medium, and tight shots, so we'll be able to make a sequence out of this. We could start with the wide, cut to the medium, and then cut to the tight. Or we can open with the tight shot and then cut to the wide shot and totally forget about the medium altogether. This guy is playing an arcade game. Luckily, our videographer got a variety of shots and we have something to work with. Here's one of the possible sequences I could build from this footage. Editing is a lot more fun if you have some nice sequences to work with. Sequences don't just magically appear in your editing software. Your expensive editing program won't create good footage for you to work with. You have to go out and work for them. You have to shoot them in the field. Here's an example of a bad sequence. Cutting from a medium shot to another medium shot is no good because it creates a jump cut or a break in the continuity. It's jarring to the viewer and it can confuse people. You might say, well, just don't edit the 2 medium shots together and you'd be fine. But what if your videographer only got medium shots? You would be stuck as the editor. You can't go back and shoot most news events. You have to shoot them right the first time. If you're lazy and you don't get a good variety of wide, medium, and tight shots in the field, you won't be able to edit them into a sequence later. This is probably a good time to talk about continuity. We're going to loop the footage of the guy throwing the baseball into the glove. As he's throwing the baseball, watch as each shot cuts. See how they line up. This has correct continuity. There is a right way and a wrong way to cut in between wide, medium, and tight shots in this case. Here's the wrong way. Notice how the baseball jumps around and his actions don't match up. This sequence has no continuity. This is another one of those editing decisions that you need to be thinking about as you're shooting. One way to save yourself from breaks in continuity is to get cutaway shots. In the case of this sequence, just in case it didn't line up, you could always cut away to a shot of his face, because his hand and the glove and the ball aren't in the shot. So you can cut from this shot and then cut to his face and then cut to this shot, and the action doesn't matter. So one thing you can do to save your sequences when the action isn't going to match up is shoot a cutaway. To be a good shooter, you need to be thinking about your edit from the very beginning. If you're a director making a film, you can sit down ahead of time before you shoot and draw out every single shot in every sequence in your movie. But video journalists don't have this luxury. They have to do this in their head while they're shooting. It takes some time to get good at this. This is definitely something you have to practice. So let's recap. Sequences are made of wide, medium, and tight shots. These shots give you options in the edit bay. Keep continuity in mind while you're shooting your wide, medium, and tights. And just in case you break continuity, make sure to get plenty of cutaways. Think about your edit as you're shooting. Practice storyboarding in your mind.